betting weekly. Handicappers, they're all in the know. Pick some winners and then we say, let's go. So come on, it's time to watch the show. We're talking hardball, Ken Griffey's grotesquely swollen jaw. We're talking hardball, over under on the hot dogs. Talking hard.
Welcome into a Tuesday edition of Betting Weekly Hardball. I'm Doug Kezirian alongside professional bettor Chris Macero as we're going to attack an intriguing baseball lineup on this Tuesday. And yesterday was an abbreviated card. I believe only 6 games, but we are stacked. And like I said, a lot of narratives and subplots coming into this one, whether it be a good pitching matchup, teams on win streaks, teams on losing streaks, some puzzling lines. So, Chris, a lot to get through today, and it's good to be back on the show together.
Yeah, I haven't done the baseball show in a while. I had a interesting weekend of almosts. Thank God for live betting in all 3 sports: the golf, the hockey, and the basketball. Profits were made. Could have been a massive profits, but we'll take it, and we'll move on to the next day. And we got a full card, like you said, all 15 games, coast to coast. It's a great slate because you got the early games, you got some classic matchups on the West Coast too. So I'm excited, and my Red Sox are back in it. So 6 in a row.
Without Rafael Devers.
Yeah, I know everyone's mad about John Henry just dumping payroll, and that's pretty much what it is. I guess you could say the one thing is, hey, they don't want the young kids to get the glimpse of a disgruntled veteran, and then they become disgruntled veterans, later in their careers. But yeah, it was a little bit of a shock that they traded one of the top 3 hitters in baseball for a bag of balls. So I wasn't too happy on Sunday. Happy they got the win last night. See what happens tonight.
With Sale, Devers, and Betts carving things up, it's certainly painful as a small market Red Sox team that had to get rid of payroll. But real quickly, though, I know the answer, but you mentioned that a weekend full of almost. You want to take our listeners through the almost that were this betting weekend?
Yeah, I had sizable wagers on the Pacers plus 6.5 and team total over on Friday night. We all saw what happened. It was the most unbelievable collapse you could ever. I mean, you couldn't imagine it. They scored 1 point in the last 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Didn't cover. Matherin was shooting 90%, and just that we rolled that into Saturday, where I had a very sizable bet on the under 6.5 in the hockey game. This one I came out all right because I was able to get some decent live wagers at over 4.5, 5.5, and I even got a little bit more at 6.5 because I figured if it landed on 6, I was already going to middle it. But it's just unbelievable. They score 5 goals the last 15 minutes. And then to top it off, I had Bobby Mack at 100-1 from the right after round 2. I figured because it was going to be wet, he plays overseas, he plays in the wet conditions a lot. Sure enough, he makes a torrid run to the top. They offered me a massive cash out, almost 50% of it, and I'm figuring you're so far behind on the TV that something must have been going better than I thought. So I didn't take the cash out. I ended up taking Spawn for about $2,500, and it kind of worked out. I'm not complaining, but just what could have been 3 look like lock bets, and they all ended up being losers. But what can you do? That's how it is. That's what we do, and it's never easy. It's never easy, Doug.
Oh, it never is. Just when you think it is, that's when the gambling gods rear their ugly head. And you were smart to be able to live wager or take cash outs and things like that. That's how you protect your positions. And I've never really understood people who say, hedging is for gardeners. I never hedge. That's such a meathead mentality. I mean, the guy you're betting on, in this case, golf, maybe he tweaked a hamstring on 16 or something. There's definitely always ways that it makes sense to hedge. You can protect your position. The dollar figures certainly matter. I mean, if you have $10 at 4-1, you don't necessarily run to the window or your app to hedge. But when you have 100-1 on McIntyre or certain positions and futures and things like that, it's just about building your portfolio and structuring accordingly. So I there's really everything's nuanced in this world, I think, especially betting. I don't think there should be any hard, fast rules, but the people who do and are adamant you really should never tell someone how to operate their own budget or their own sort of positions because Chris, it's such a personal thing and there's so many other variables that only somebody can decide internally and it's not about handicapping the sport sometimes.
Well, exactly. I mean, I'm not saying I had a monster golf thing, but I had a bunch of tickets on DeChambeau, which obviously lost. I took a couple shots with. I had him live. As soon as I bet him live, he went down the drain. And I was just trying to find somebody that could come from behind that had some pedigree that was a big number. And when I took Bobby Mack, it was $100 bet to make 10,000. I turned that into $2,500 on Spawn plus 130, and I also had a $400 wager on Spawn plus 130 with Alabama for the national championship. I know I've been talking about Alabama on the other show, but I'm trying to build up my position on Alabama. So it's a huge position. When I get to the playoff, if they make it, I'm going to be in a good spot with them. So it's just those are the things you have to do. You have to just be on top. You can't be lazy when you have these opportunities to make five figures. I hear it all the time on a lot of shows. People are like, "Oh, I didn't hedge. Oh, I wasn't sure. I wasn't ready. I wasn't paying attention. Oh, I was at this." I mean, if you're going to do this for real and you're going to do this for a living and you can do this to make money, you have to be on top of these things, especially in a golf or in a situation where you have such a huge middle like the hockey game the other night. Yeah, I could have just said, "Oh, it's 2-0. I'm going to forget all about it. I'm a winner." Sure enough, they scored 5 goals, but I'm on top of it. I was able to get some money out of that bet.
And everyone's got their own appetite, right? Everyone has their own time availability, but it's, like I always say, it's about buying stocks during the market hours or not. I mean, this is the market. The market hours begin when the first game starts and then the market hours close at night to a certain extent, then you can bet overnight. So there's really no market close. And in terms of the parallels of Wall Street, there's one Wall Street, and then there's others. There's other places you can find rogue numbers and different offerings. And let's say you're on the Bet Rivers app, they might not offer cash out the entire time, but they might for a brief moment. Or you mentioned during baseball, as this show is a baseball, like during the half inning, there's no clock in baseball. The other day on Saturday night, what was it 8-3 or something? The Padres were leading in Arizona, and the Diamondbacks ended up walking it off in the bottom of the ninth. They put up a 5 or 6 spot or something, 7-3 or something going to the bottom of the ninth. So there's no clock. You can get a billion runs in a half inning, and you can bet between each pitch. So why would you not take advantage to protect profits when things like that with baseball and you can watch games? You can see something. How many times have we watched something and the manager or a coach doesn't do something about it, and you can actually bet what you see and react accordingly?
That's great advice. You just have to be paying attention at all times. I mean, if you're only betting small numbers and you're just trying to have some recreational fun, that's fine. But if the bet I posted on the hockey game the other night was more than a recreational bet. I thought it was the lock of the year. It was the lock of the year until all hell broke loose in the last couple of minutes. But that's how it goes. We got money out of it. It wasn't too bad of a loser, and hopefully we can find some winners today.
Yeah, but it is the what if weekend for sure. But yeah, that series is just determined to go over in every single game. Okay, we turn the page to baseball, and you mentioned we got all this stuff going on. There's also college baseball. So part of the Bet Rivers Network. Visit the College Sports Rush YouTube channel live tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern, for a betting preview of Wednesday's College World Series games with Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff. They'll be breaking that down. And Chris mentioned the other show a couple times. That's top of the hour, 3 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. Betting Weekly Fast Break. We talk hoops, a lot of hoops going on with the NBA Finals, but there's also WNBA. We've been red hot on that channel as well or that show with 6 games tonight in the W. But Chris, you mentioned it, full slate on the diamond. Will start in Atlanta. Braves hosting the Mets. New York coming off a sweep at home by the Tampa Bay Rays, whose sidebar and we'll get to momentarily, but they've made the AL East a little interesting. This game on national television, MLB Network, Peterson versus Schwellenbach. And I think the most important thing for me in this pitching matchup was Schwellenbach coming off his most pitches all season. So the Mets are underdogs with Peterson on the bump, and Schwellenbach threw a complete game, went over 100 pitches in his last game, and he's favored by 136. And I know the bats have been waking up a little bit with Atlanta, but for me, it's Braves or pass, Chris, just because I think the day off really helped after getting swept at home by Tampa. And I like Peterson a lot. I think this is the right side with the dog money here.
Schwellenbach, I saw him pitch versus the Red Sox 2 weekends ago, and he was absolutely lights out. He only pitched 6 innings, but the announcers for the Red Sox were like, "This is potential no-hit stuff." And I just noticed over the last 4 starts, 28 innings, 28 and a third innings pitched. He's got 35 strikeouts. So this guy's a strikeout machine. He's got a great ERA at home, 3-2, 2.29. I know Peterson's been pretty good too on the road. He's 5-1 at night with a 2.22 ERA, 1-2 with a 2.9 on the road. So this is a really good pitching matchup. Problem is the Mets have lost 3 in a row. There's starting to be a little bit of panic around the Mets fans. I was looking on social media today that the sky is falling with the Mets. The fans there are very, very crazy, kind of like the Yankee fans or the Red Sox fans. So I'm not a big fan of betting the team that's lost 3 in a row, because you can see these streaks that just kind of extrapolate, and it gets worse, and next thing you know, it snowballs. So I would maybe look at maybe a K prop. I know you said Schwellenbach pitches most pitches, but he's kind of been stretching out over the last couple times, and I think you might look towards a K prop. 5 is like, I'm not sure what 5 is, like maybe around minus 190. You're going to get plus money if you get 6 strikeouts. Mets don't strike out a lot. They're not a high strikeout team, but I really like what I saw with the Schwellenbach the last couple starts.
So over 4.5 is minus 200 for strikeouts. Over 5.5 is plus 108. Now he had double-digit strikeouts in 3 of the last 4 starts. Then he also had 4 in one of those starts. The other start that was not double digits. So there's a lot to like, and the Braves do have a track record. I mean, this feels like Spencer Strider. By the way, I meant double digit 9 or more in 3 of the last 4 starts. So it is a guy that the Braves feel like is the next guy that they uncover and bring up. I just think I like Peterson. And what do you have I don't want to say hard fast rule, but do you have caution when a guy's coming off the most pitches he's thrown all season, like in this case, 105?
Yeah, of course, especially if he's not used to throwing it, which this guy hasn't been. But 105 back in the day, what is 105? It's nothing. Guy's a big, strapping young guy. One other stat I'll give you on this game: the Mets are 9-0 their last 9 games versus under 500 teams. So I know it's weird to think the Braves is under 500 team, but that's just what the facts are.
Yeah, they're 31 and 39. They did win 2 of 3 at home against Colorado and 2 of 3 in Milwaukee. But before that, they were really spiraling. But Acuna's back. He's got some dingers. That lineup obviously has a much different sort of prognosis with Acuna back in the lineup. So we'll keep it moving. No official play. I lean bets, but I'm certainly not pulling the trigger. Game 2 of a doubleheader. The late night is the Dodgers hosting the Padres, one of the budding rivalries in all of baseball now. Yesterday, the big headline was Ohtani returning to the mound for his first action in nearly 2 years. He only pitched 1 inning, no strikeout. So there's strikeout prop out there of 1.5. Dodgers used 7 pitchers. Much different situation now. So it's not like this almost like a rehab start for Ohtani. Everyone knew he was only going to throw 1 or 2 innings. So it all depended on the pitch count. But the Dodgers, I don't know their pitcher. I think it's undecided right now. Vasquez going for San Diego, but they're sizable favorites. And yesterday, I thought it was Padres or pass yesterday, but the Dodgers steamrolled them. And here they are, big favorites, minus 225 and a huge over-under, all things considered, at 10.
Yeah, Randy Vasquez, the pitcher for the Padres, he just pitched 4 2/3 last week versus the Dodgers. So there might be some familiarity there where the Dodgers are going to maybe get after him. He pitched pretty good. 1 run, gave up 1 home run at 4 Ks. He's 3-4 with a 3.57 on the road. I'm just not sure what I would do with this game. The last 5 Dodger games versus NL West opponents at home have gone over. Last night went over. Like you said, it's a big total. But hey, the Dodgers don't even have a starting pitcher committed. Vasquez just pitched against the Dodgers. And they used a lot of relievers, the Dodgers, last night. So you figure there's going to be some runs in this game. You get good weather out in Los Angeles. The ball kind of jumps out there. It would probably be overpass for me. I'm not going to get involved in this game. I don't even know who's pitching for the Dodgers yet. Probably be another type of opener game. But I don't like betting the Padres in this situation with the pitcher just pitched against the Dodgers, they're going to kind of get some familiarity. And he didn't pitch a lot. He was pitched well, but he only pitched 4 2/3. So, and it's not like he pitched 8 innings. He only gave up 1 run. So I would probably lean over. I'm not going to lay over 200 on the Dodgers in this rivalry type of game. But the trend is the last 5 Dodger home games, first NL West opponents have gone over. So that might be something to look at.
Yeah, and the Dodgers, we mentioned it yesterday. It's worth repeating. They mash righties. So that is something to keep in mind with Vasquez being a righty. And again, that's game 2 of a national television, TBS. Tuesdays typically have that TBS action. So it's something to keep in mind if you want to check out some West Coast baseball that you don't normally see. Dodgers significant favorites at home at -225. Similar line for game 1 of that TBS doubleheader. Tigers hosting the Pirates. So it's called the Jim Leyland Bowl. Tigers with Casey Mize on the bump, sizable favorites at -$2. The over under 8. This Pirates team, long gone are the days when they only score 4 or less runs. We had that fun streak, but the bats have woken up a little bit. They swept Philly recently, but they're still the Pirates, and they still have a big pitching edge in Detroit here with Mize against Falter, but he's not terrible. So I would actually look at the under 8 if I had to. But this Tigers team's for real. They're the AL favorites. They're not going anywhere. They have the pitching. They have enough of a hitting. The hitting's not calming down. I think the Tigers win a relatively low scoring game, like 6-2, 5-2, something like that. What about you?
Yeah, I just hate to lay the big number -200 with a team again that has lost 2 in a row. I'm never one to jump on a team that's on a losing streak. It's that whole theory like, oh, if it comes up red on roulette every time, it's going to come up black. Not necessarily. But I do like the team total under in Pittsburgh. I know we mentioned this earlier when the show first began. We were all laughing about it. But I mean, this team is just pathetic. 232 runs, last in Major League Baseball, averaging 3.2 runs a game. And you're going up against Casey Mize, who's had a fantastic year, especially at home, 3-0 with a 1.54 ERA. And another great stat, the last 6 Pirates games have gone under. So I like your maybe side to the game under. You can maybe look at a first 5 under because, like you said, Falter's not terrible. The only question is Detroit does score a lot of runs, 351, 4.8 runs a game, 5th in baseball. But Detroit's bullpen's pretty solid too. Also 3.49, 5th in baseball. So I think this could be Pirates under game. Casey Mize has been great, like I said, at home. I'm probably going to look at the team total. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it an official play yet, but I'm going to definitely leaning Pirates team total under in this game.
So just some background on Falter, because he has been good. In the month of May, he had 6 starts. His ERA for the month, 0.76. So really strong outings. Only gave up a run in 2 of them, so 3 total runs. Did get touched up by the Phillies and then back to normalcy with the Marlins, albeit against the Marlins lineup. So he's been great the last month and a half, but the problem is before that, not great. He had an ERA the beginning of the first month and a half of the season around 6. So I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna make my first play. I'm gonna do first 5 as much as I want to do the run line, or sorry, the two-way line, because I just don't see the Pirates doing much. $1.80 is a little rich. I'll do the three-way line. I'll go a -129 in the 5-way line. So the run line for the first 5, -129. So I think they can get to Falter enough, and I'll back Mize to be a strong performance. So I'll go Detroit first 5, -0.5, -129. And maybe some regression here this month with Falter, as we mentioned, he did get touched up a little bit by the Phillies. So maybe that May was just an outlier performance as my garbage truck comes by. All right. A pitcher we've talked about here, we've won some money on the show here, is a guy I really like, is Andrew Abbott of the Reds. And this Reds team isn't the Pirates. Like they're fine. Like they're a good enough team if you want to back their offense. I'm okay doing that. They host the Twins, who've been a nice surprise this year, but have really stunk on the road. Abbott still not getting the respect, Chris, in the market. This guy's got a microscopic ERA of less than 2. He's been an absolute bet on essentially all season. I don't know what people don't want. He had 1 game in the last, I don't know, month and a half where he got touched up. But outside of that, in like 7 other starts, he's given up 2 earned. So I love Abbott. I love betting on him. I know at some point there will be some regression, you would think, but sometimes there isn't drastic regression. For me, it's Abbott or pass, and I'm leaning towards pulling the trigger.
Yeah, this was the fishy line of the day. Why is this line only minus 117, 120, or whatever it is? But then if you dig a little deeper, this Festa guy, he had one rough outing versus the A's where 3.2, 3 2/3 innings pitched. He got roughed up, 8 earned runs, 3 home runs at that launching pad of a ballpark. If you extrapolate that out, he has 19 innings pitched with a 1.89 ERA. So now you're looking at two guys with basically the same ERA, granted less of a sample size with Festa. But the line stinks. So I would look for first five under 4.5. You're going to have to pay a little juice on it. But I feel like both of these guys are pitching really well. Since he has a decent offense, Minnesota's offense goes ice cold, especially in the first couple innings. The first time through the lineup, Minnesota just never seems to score. So I'm going to be official play. I'm going to be under 4.5, first five, Cincinnati, Minnesota. The last 6 Reds home games versus AL Central also have gone under. So that's another under trend. A lot of under trends today in these games. Funny stat is the AL Central is on a combined 20-game losing streak at the moment. The Tigers 2 games, Twins 4, Indians 3, Kansas City 6, and the White Sox 5. 20 straight losing games for the AL Central. Just absolutely incredible.
So the juice isn't too bad. So right now at Bet Rivers, first 5 innings under 4.5 is minus 112. So certainly good that the market came around there. Ellie De La Cruz, just throwing it out there. He's homered in 4 straight games, so seeing the ball well, but Reds had to take a day off yesterday. So momentum breaker, maybe. Does that factor in at all? If the guy's been on fire for you, Chris, day off, that can't be what he wants, especially when it's only 4 straight games, not like 10 where you might want a day off.
Yeah, the old phrase is momentum's only as good as the next day's starting pitcher. So we'll see. This Festa, I'm not really familiar very much with Festa. I saw this line and I saw Abbott's stats: 3-1 at home, 3-0 at night, 1.87 ERA, and it didn't make any sense. And that's why I dug in a little deeper on Festa and saw, the guys actually pitched really well his other 3 outings, except for that one, just whatever happened to him up in the Sacramento ballpark. So just a stinky line, and sometimes the stinky lines are right. So you got to just be careful. That's why I'm figuring, I think if he's going to pitch well and Abbott's going to pitch well, let's go under in the first 5.
I think that's a sharp look. I'm with you there, especially if I haven't dug deep in it, but if you point out the Twins' first time through the lineup's typically not that great, that's really when you can capitalize. Heck, you can do first 3 under as well. So I like that look a lot. I was looking at the team total of 4.5 for Minnesota as well. Unders 121 at Bet River, so that's something to consider if you trust their bullpen or their being, the Reds bullpen. But let's go to a game that's I think pretty interesting. Interleague games I don't really get excited about, but I think just these 2 teams are kind of on the verge of maybe making a run. It's the Guardians at the Giants. Giants 10 games above 500. They've already made a run this year. They are in the mix. Rafael Devers is a new member, although they gave up some arms, including Hicks, who I always thought was going to be solid with St. Louis, and then he just never panned out, whether it be out of the bullpen or not. Guardians in town. Robbie Ray on the bump. He's one of those guys that's really just so rock solid without being a household name. Giants sizable favorites, all things considered. $1.62 over under 7.5. I like betting on Robbie Ray. Buster Posey in the front office made the move to get Devers. I think there's a bounce in the step in the locker room when the Giants think or know that there's new front office here. They have a team that's willing to make a deal. They're a big market. And they're going to play ball and try to compete with the Dodgers and even the Padres out west. So I think there's excitement in San Francisco. Now, whether that translates to wins, who knows? But I think the Giants are sort of in a bet on stretch right now. That doesn't mean you bet on them every game, but I'm looking to bet on them because I think there's good juju in the locker room right now.
Well, we'll see. I mean, Mr. Bad Juju just got shipped to their locker room, so we'll see how excited he is to play first base all of a sudden. Now he's going to play first base. So it's funny how that goes. They got this guy Ciccone pitching for the Guardians tonight. I remember that. That place used to be a hot spot in Beverly Hills. Ciccone's, remember, over in LA. I think I was in there one night. I saw Priscilla Presley. Yeah, she was having chicken parm, I think. I'm not sure what's going on with this game. I know Ray's, but you just said Ray's like underrated. The guy won a Cy Young. He's pretty good.
I just don't. I mean, he's not like a huge household name. People don't know about him. I mean, baseball fans, of course, know about him, but you know what I mean. He's not a guy who people know who are casual sports fans. Let's call it.
Yeah, you couldn't pick him out of a lineup, most people. But at home, he's 4-0 with a 2 ERA, 47 strikeouts, and 45 innings pitched. Yeah, I mean, it'd probably be Giants or pass. Again, I'm going to lean to the under. If you're giving me 7.5, the last 7 San Fran Giants games, again, another trendy stat, last 7 night games for the Giants versus AL Central, under. You might want to look for a first 5 under. This Ciccone, not too bad on the road, 1-2 with a 3.38 ERA. And like I said, Ray's been lights out. And the ball just never seems to travel at night in the San Francisco ballpark. So that's another thing. You might just, this might be a dead under first 5, and you're going to look up, and it's going to be the 6th inning after an hour, and you're going to be 1-0 Giants at some point. So I would be under a pass here. If you can get 7.5, I like 7.5. I saw a lot of 7s earlier, but 7.5 seems like a good number.
That's where it is right now at Bet River, 7.5 on your screen right there. And it's, it's a late game, could be good little watching. 22 to the under right now, live on the Bet Rivers app. So not too painful, all things considered. And then that's the thing. It's like hockey over unders. Like those halves matter a lot. So you may want to grab it now before the market at Bet Rivers goes to 7. But yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking at. I'm with you. I think it's some of the outfield gaps can be cavernous, but for the most part, that win knocks it down, and I think that this could be a 4-1 game for sure in favor of the home team. All right, you mentioned trends, Chris. We got some trends for you. Nothing crazy, pretty basic stuff. Yankees have lost 4 straight, back-to-back shutout losses. They welcome in the Angels for Game 2 of their series. Now, yesterday, Aaron Judge did go 1 for 3 with 2 walks. That's a step in the right direction after going 1 for 12 over the weekend against Boston. Now, he's still the MVP favorite. A few game stretch won't completely derail his season or anything silly like that. But we've been waiting for the Yankees to kind of stop punching above their weight. So here they are, maybe coming back to earth a little bit. They have Will Warren on the bump, but the problem is Kyle Hendricks is going for the Angels, and he's absolutely terrible. I'm surprised he's still in the big leagues, but he did pitch well in his last game, albeit against the Athletics. But I'm looking to bet the Yankees to break up this trend, if you will, of 4 straight losses and back-to-back shutouts.
It's just tough to bet on the Yankees right now. I watched the whole game last night, waiting for the basketball game. It was on MLB at the restaurant I was at. I mean, they just couldn't strike out. Just no clutch hitting. They left a boatload of guys. They left a boatload of guys on base. I don't have the exact number, but a lot of guys in scoring position they left on. You did mention Hendricks is absolutely atrocious on the road. 1-3 with a 6.37 ERA. He's given up 8 home runs. So, yeah, I mean, this might be a night where Judge gets back on track, but he has looked awful. I mean, he looked terrible in the Red Sox series, except for that 1 home run, which was pretty clutch in the 9th where he tied it up, the moonshot. But he's been in a little. He looked like he's been looking in the playoffs the last couple of years, just unable to put the bat on the ball. I cannot get on a team, and historically the Yankees always kill the Royals and the Twins, but historically they have trouble with the Angels for some reason. It's just the way it is, and there's no way I would lay 250. I mean, Warren has his moments too, but his ERA is almost 5, so I could never lay 250 with a team that's not hitting. And it's just on a 4-game losing streak. I just wouldn't do it. This is a total pass game for me.
You want to hold your nose and bet the under with Kyle Hendricks and then Warren. It's 9. Doesn't feel like it's enough. I feel like I should be 10.5 if I'm going to take it under. But I also don't want to run to bet the over, like you said, Chris, with a team that's been shut out in back-to-back games. I do think the Yankees get back on track, like a 7-3 type of game, something like that. But yeah, I can't get involved there. Rays playing some really good ball. They've closed the deficit in the AL East to just 2.5. Really snuck up on them. 4 straight wins. That'll happen with 4 straight losses for the Yanks. So that's hence 4 games they've shaved off the deficit. The Orioles were playing well coming into yesterday's series opener, but they lose. Pepio pitches well. We really should have had Pepio on the show yesterday, not as a guest, but I should have been backing him because I talked favorably about him. I liked him. Didn't believe in the O's. I thought the Rays were playing good ball off the sweep in New York against the Mets, but opportunity missed there. So Rays are $1.24 favorites here, which is about right in my eyes. I don't believe the O's in terms of being like a playoff team, but they've come back to where they should be. They were so underachieving. They were the biggest underachieving team in baseball, really, when you factor in their talent. I mean, yeah, the Rockies were terrible, but they were supposed to be terrible. But Littell going for Tampa, Kramer going for Baltimore, just two pitchers I really don't want to bet on, but I'm also a little gun shy to bet against.
Yeah, you just can't bet Kramer. He's 2-5 with a 6.33 ERA on the road, 5 ERA overall. And don't get so excited about this Orioles like little mini streak. They beat the White Sox. They played the A's. They played the Angels. They did sweep Seattle, but Seattle's, they go into the doldrums hitting sometimes. And Baltimore is just an atrocious 14-22 on the road. So there's no way I could back Baltimore. Tampa's got a 4-game winning streak, which I'm very happy about because I have them most wins in June, which they are tied now with the Red Sox and Giants at 10 of all teams, the Red Sox, who are 100-1 for most wins in June. So another under trend. 6 of the last 7 Rays night games versus the AL East has gone under, which is weird due to the fact that you figure that was like a launching pad, the warm weather, American League East teams, and maybe the totals are just a little too inflated. I thought the over might have come through last night. I do have a potential home run prop in this game. Maybe something to take a look at. Adley Rutschman, he finally starting to hit a little bit better. 6 for 21 his last 21 plate appearances. Double. He had a home run last night. Maybe he gets a little hot again. I'm not sure what the I haven't really shopped it around yet or looked at the Bet Rivers number, but the
It's
home
400.
run. Oh yeah, plus 400 on Adley Rutschman I think is worth a little sprinkle. He's hitting. Against Little. Is that how you pronounce his name? Little Littell.
Littell, I think.
Yeah, Littell is opponent's batting average is 299 versus lefties, and 7 of Rushman's 8 home runs have come from the left side. I think that's worth a shot at plus 400. I'll probably have a little sprinkle on that tonight.
All right, so maybe a fun prop late night, or actually not that late, late on the East Coast only. Could be getting involved. I'm with you though. The Orioles are Denny Green style. They are who we thought they were. They're coming back to earth now that they have to face a decent team. But those are some nice tickets you have for most wins in June, so that's good. We'll be rooting you on. One of the other teams you mentioned there are the Red Sox. They're riding a 6-game win streak after trading Devers. They do not get derailed because they have the world's best pitcher going. Lucas Giolito last night, another strong outing after figuring things out at Fenway, throws BBs. I missed the game, but supposedly the Mariners had just terrible at bats. It was a pathetic performance. They lose 2-0 at home. And now they have Brian Wu on the bump, who's been getting rocked a little bit. And here comes Walker Buehler for the Sox, who I love when he was with the Dodgers. He was like my favorite player. And he's been what I thought he'd be with Boston, not peak form, but he guts out some performances. I like Bueller a lot. He's a guy I would look to bet on, especially if the Mariners are in a funk offensively. I just said on the show yesterday, of course, they get bageled, but I was like, this offense isn't as terrible as they've been in recent years, but apparently they can be because they were terrible last night.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to step in front of a team on a 6-game winning streak where all things, are going well. Maybe the clubhouse is happy that Devers is gone. No one's really coming out saying that. So, but maybe they are. The only thing I would look to here is I don't want to get in front of Boston. I think Boston could still win the game, but Boston strikes out a ridiculous amount of times. 687 Ks for the year. That's third most in baseball. The only teams worse than them are the Angels and the Rockies, and we all know how bad the Rockies are. So the Red Sox are striking out a ridiculous amount of times, 9.2 times a game. And you got Wu, who's coming in, who averages 7.2 strikeouts. So I'm going to play a strikeout prop because I think tonight might be tough for the Red Sox because Bueller just hasn't been, he guts it up, but he's been getting lit up. He's had some bad innings. So I feel like a way to almost not bet against the Red Sox, but if the Red Sox do have a little bit of a letdown, they got all those young kids in the lineup and you get a strikeout pitcher versus a team that strikes out a lot. I'm going to be looking at some K props for Wu, maybe at 6 and at 7, and probably going to play those.
Over 5.5's $1.62. You can always involve a same game parlay. And it's to your point, they have a 6-game win streak, but they're not exactly knocking the cover off the ball. All 6 of those wins, the game has gone under the total. So last week I bet against them. And on this show, I had the Rays first to 3 runs and 4 runs. Well, the Red Sox won 3-1. So it was a pitcher's duel. So that was the last Giolito start until last night. So all 6 of these wins have gone under the total. They've been pitcher's duels. We have a 7.5 here. It doesn't feel like this pitching matchup should be 7.5. I would assumed at least 8. the way Woo's been pitching lately. But to your point, the strikeouts, the Red Sox bats. It's also there's some new guys called up. They've never played at Safeco, although they did play there last night. It's a tough trip, so I was impressed with their performance, at least Giolito's, on a Sunday to Monday cross country trip for going from home to Seattle. But the 7.5 is a little too low for me to get involved in the under with this pitching matchup.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too much on the under because the Red Sox do have the ability to they hit some home runs and maybe the young kids are getting hot. Like Anthony finally got off the schneid with his first home run last night, which was nice to see. Of course, I played his home run prop the first couple nights and I forgot to play it last night plus 725 like an idiot because the game was late and I forgot. So, anyways, I would just look for the K prop on Woo. You are right though. His last 4 starts all losses by the Mariners. So maybe the shine is worn off on him, but I feel like this Red Sox lineup does strike out so much. They're the launch angle team with the, they're playing the math and all that, but they strike out so much, and it's painful to watch sometimes. So I think there's some value with the Woo K prop.
Yeah, I think I like where your head's at on that one. That could be interesting. Over 6.5 plus 130, but I like maybe throwing in a minus 162 with a game under something like that. That could be fun, fun same game parlay there. It's hard to have a baseball show and not discuss the Colorado Rockies. They did get a win yesterday, comeback win in our nation's capital. So they now improve to 15-57. Imagine that. 57 of their 72 games have been losses. Some more stats. More recently, they're 10-32 in their last 42. And of those 32 losses, and I've said this before, and I said it on yesterday's show. So 32 losses, their last 32, 26 of them have been by at least 2 runs. So I was telling this yesterday. I was like, if you bet against them based on the past, you should be betting run line or more, even more. Yesterday, you don't want to lay the $2 because they lost the game outright to the Nationals. But that's the thing is you save juice often because the Rockies will win some games. So that game you don't lay the 1.5 for it to be to burn you. You'd have to have the team you bet on to win by exactly 1. Otherwise, you don't have egg on your face. So I just caution just betting money line against this Rockies team. I think especially with now 235 Soroka on the bump against Sensatella, which I'm always surprised he's still in the league. Every time I see him on the docket or the slate, I'm just always stunned that he's still in the big leagues. Any action for you here, even though the market seemingly is caught up with these Rockies?
This is a ridiculous line. I mean, how could you possibly lay minus 235 with the Washington Nationals? They've lost 9 in a row. The manager just threw the whole entire team under the bus. He said that it's never the coach's fault. It's not ownership's fault. It's the player's fault. That was 2 days ago. I'm surprised he's still the manager. Yes, but Sensatella, whatever he's how do you pronounce his name, 1-10 with a 7.23 ERA. 0-5 on the road. Yeah, I mean, this is just how can you even bet this game? You can't bet it. You can't bet it. How can you lay 235 when the team's lost?
Well, where is there value on the dog? I mean, look, this is a Colorado team that went to Miami, swept them. They won the opener in Washington. Maybe Colorado just beats up on the bad teams, or at least they're on a level playing field, and we should be taking the money on the dog here.
Well,
I don't agree, but maybe.
Here's another under trend. 8 of the 9 games where the Nats are home favorites, which is not that often. Obviously, they're not that much of a favorite. Have gone under 8 of the 9. So a lot of under trends today. Maybe you just play this under, but it's tough to play it under when the starting pitcher for the Rockies has a 7.23 ERA. So this is just like a train wreck game. I'm not going to be involved. Be funny to see what the final score is. I just can't bet this game.
We always want to encourage you to get involved in the conversation in the comment section on the YouTube channel. Amish Farmer chiming in. I like Michael Soroka, the Rock. So Soroka could maybe get things together and pitch. Amish Farmer also chiming in with some other. He thought the Orioles were fishy as well. Minus 105. I'm suspicious. I'm betting the Orioles. I'm always careful of that. Like the market's the market. I wouldn't. The odds makers don't have a crystal ball or Biff's almanac. They don't know who's going to win. It just is what it is. But you're right. When lines stink, we all know that as gamblers. I mentioned the Marlins. Only play I had on the show yesterday, well, I had 2 plays, but they're both the Phillies, was first 5 in game. They got there. Phillies took care of business, had the pitching edge. Marlins stink. Um, had a feeling that things would come back to earth for Miami. So Phillies won 5 straight. Lazardo's on the bump, and this money line's kind of what I anticipated it would be. $1.95 after getting a we had the Phillies yesterday at minus a buck 15. That was really a gift from the gods. So Lazardo against Quantrill, huge pitching edge, huge lineup edge. Phillies run line or pass. I'm not opposed to this. I think the Marlins are that bad.
Yeah, I mean, you could just maybe even go with the Phillies team total over. I haven't made a bet on this game, but they have 34 runs the last 5 games. They're crushing the ball, plus 24 run differential in those last 5 games. Another under trend. Marlins under the total, 8 of the 9 as a dog versus the NL East. So another under trend. Last night 5-2. Phillies win, cover the run line, and it goes under. So maybe we stick with that again. I just hate laying 200 on these big favorites because you never know. Lozado 6-2, 4.23 ERA, but Phillies won 5 in a row. Phillies are a type of team that gets hot. They hit the ball well, and yeah, the Marlins are just terrible. Like you just said, they got swept by the Rockies.
That at home too. I mean, that's bad. Real bad. All right, we had some more questions here from those involved in the conversation. Michael Augustine might have missed it. Over total in Cubs game with a question mark. You didn't miss it, Michael. We were just going to get to that, so I wanted to give you a little shout out. Appreciate everyone's patience here on the show. Brewers at the Cubs. He likes the over. Ben Brown going for the Cubbies. Patrick going for the Brewers. This number feels right to me, all things considered. It's just feel like this Cubs lineup started out raking. They've come back to earth a little bit, but they do have the top half of the lineup with PCA in the cleanup spot or fifth spot, whatever it is. He's a pretty big bat, but 9 feels like a high number when I just don't know what I'm getting really from either lineup. Do you have any opinion here?
Yeah, this Ben Brown has been pretty terrible. 3-5, 5.71. He has some interesting stats. He has 30 innings pitched at home, 15 walks. So that's not something you want to do at Wrigley Field. Brewers offense, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. I'm not a big Brewers guy. Patrick, pretty good on the road, 3.86, but teams 1 and 2. Another under trend. 9 of the last 10 Cubs home games versus NL Central have gone under. So maybe this is a 5-4 game and it just lands right on the number. I just couldn't back the Cubs with this Ben Brown. He just hasn't been good. He's been worse at home.
I agree with you. One more comment I want to get to because it's a good question because we didn't love the money line individually. Dave Clark, what you think about Dodgers and Yankees parlay. Now, the whole thing with the parlay stuff is you really shouldn't put them in a parlay if you wouldn't bet them straight. Like that's the concept. But if you're looking for a little action or recreation, you want to do the Dodgers, Yanks. Chris and I discussed it. We can't get involved with the Yanks here, but they should win. The bats should wake up against Kyle Hendricks. The problem is, Chris mentioned it. The Yankees do tend to struggle against the Angels and Mariners when they go out west. I didn't know that at home. They do beat up on the Twins. I didn't know the Royals, but they always beat up on the Twins forever. I couldn't get involved with Dodgers, Yankees. It just doesn't pay enough. I think the money lines are too inflated. Would you recommend them using as a leg or anything like that?
I see this all the time. People do the big 3 favorites in baseball or whatever sport money line, and it never wins. It never wins.
Never.
It just never wins. I'd be more inclined to look for a short money line underdog with one favorite that you like. Like, kind of have to like Casey Mize tonight with Detroit. So here you go. You're minus 180 or whatever the line is. Maybe you look to find somebody with some little bit of value, like the guy who had the question earlier said the line's fishy, Baltimore, Tampa Bay. Hey, you put Baltimore with Detroit, and then you get a nice little parlay. I just feel like you put the 3 big favorites or the 2 big favorites together, something always seems to go wrong, and that it's not paying enough for you to keep doing it all the time. If you're hitting one of these ones with the underdogs, it's going to pay a lot more. Obviously, it's perceived to be more difficult. But in baseball, I mean, every day underdog. I mean, they win all the time. No one's going to be shocked tonight if the White Sox, who've lost 5 in a row, beat the Cardinals. This Liberatore for the Cardinals isn't much of a good pitcher. He's a lefty. There's some big right-handed bats on the White Sox. White Sox aren't that terrible anymore. There's just a lot more value, I think, finding shorter price underdogs to put in your parlay than just going with the big favorites. That's just my opinion.
I agree. Personally, I would rather lay a run line in a favorite game where I like it, as opposed to having to get something right in another game and just doing the money line parlay. I would rather think like, okay, if this guy pitches well, he pitches one of the bats, and I think I'm going to cover run and a half rather than trying to get more games involved. That's how I operate if the pitching matchup is favorable, and that's one of the plays I have is Tigers with Casey Mize first 5 run line. Just to remind you, we have some great content here on the Bet Rivers Network under the Betting Weekly umbrella. Betting Weekly game bet match last week had some great futures that cash. Sean Calvert tipped Gabriel Diallo 20-1 to win the Libima Open or Libima Open, and also at Berg's 20-1 to make the final. And they faced each other. So really good insight there from our tennis crew. And speaking of which, Betting Weekly game bet match with Nigel and Sean. Second round picks with the grass court season underway. That show was released this morning. So check it out. It's all part of the Bet Rivers Network under the Betting Weekly umbrella, as is this show, Betting Weekly Hardball, Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, and Betting Weekly Fast Break, which is hoops driven. And we obviously are in the middle of the NBA Finals. That's also Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Chris is going to be on that show later in the week, right before Game 6, which could be a closeout game. So that's on Thursday. And Chris will be back on this show on Friday with Adam the Bull. So I'll be off, but Adam the Bull will be taking over. He's actually going to be resuming his hosting duties starting tomorrow, the rest of the week on Betting Weekly Hardball. And we want to remind everyone to go check out the newsletter, sign up for free, bettingweeklystudios.com. All awesome previews, whether it's soccer, tennis, Bet Rivers links for the podcast here, and odds everywhere. It's like 30 something pages. It's great insight. Go check it out. And that's going to do it. So we're just recapping our best bets. I'm on the run line for the Tigers in the first 5, -129. Chris, you're on the first 5 in Cincinnati with the Reds hosting the Twins under 4.5, -112. Anything else other than the leans and opinions we gave out on the show?
Yeah, I'm probably going to play the Woo K prop in the Red Sox
Okay.
game. I didn't, even though the Red Sox, like you said, even though they've won a bunch of games, they're not scoring that many runs, and they're still striking out a lot. A couple other fun ones if you want to just toss in. Just for, I know a lot of people like these home run props. I'm trying to find some value for people with some off the grid type of players. Jordan Beck for Colorado. He's got 5 road home runs this year. He's going up against Soroka, who's given up 8 home runs in 42 innings pitched, 2 home runs in his last game versus the Mets. So I think that's probably somewhere in like the plus 500 range. And another one, Miguel Vargas for the White Sox. I mentioned Libertor, left-handed pitcher, righty, he's hitting plus 400 range for Miguel Vargas. I also like him over total bases, 2 total bases or more, or over 1.5, whichever way you play it. That's probably plus 110 or plus 105. So I just look for those little couple angles, some off the grid type of guys. Jordan Beck for the Colorado Rockies and Miguel Vargas for the White Sox. A little bit of value I see in those 2 players tonight.
All right, so keep an eye on those, and we appreciate everyone. We had some tech issues here and there, but we got the gist of everything and had a fun show. And we went a little long because it was a really intriguing card with so many trends, so many streaks, some interesting pitching matchups. So it's just the stars aligned, so to speak. So I was glad we were able to get through so many games. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Like I said, Betting Weekly Hardball, Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. We'll be back tomorrow. Chris will be back on Friday with Adam, and then also on Thursday for the Hoop Show, Betting Weekly Fast Break. And that is coming up in about 12 minutes right here on the Bet Rivers Network. So for Chris Macero and everyone behind the scenes that makes everything look so awesome, I'm Doug Kezirian. We'll see you back here tomorrow.